There are over 700 programming languages in existence, but every decade, just one or two of them quietly take over the world. Sometimes they are created in research labs, sometimes they are hacked together in a college dorm room, but when the conditions are right, they rise. And before you know it, they are everywhere, powering your phone, your bank, your cloud, and maybe even your toaster. This is the story of how programming languages rise and why they fall. In the beginning, there was assembly. Humans wrote instructions directly for the machine. It was fast and powerful, but incredibly difficult to use. In 1957, IBM introduced FORTRAN, short for formula translation. It was the first high-level programming language. It made mathematical computing easier and was used by NASA during the Apollo missions, but FORTRAN had no structure. In 1958, ALGOL added something revolutionary: code blocks, scoped functions, and readable syntax. It became the foundation for nearly every modern programming language that followed. In 1970, Pascal made structured programming easier to teach and easier to understand. It became the default language for computer science students around the world. Then came C, created in 1972 at Bell Labs. C combined low-level memory access with high-level syntax. It powered Unix, databases, compilers, and operating systems. It became the backbone of modern software. In 1983, C++ added object-oriented programming. It retained the speed of C, but added structure. C++ powered large-scale applications like Microsoft Office, Adobe software, and video games. While C and C++ shaped infrastructure, another language dominated the business world. COBOL ran banks, governments, and insurance systems. It was readable, but outdated. In 1995, Java introduced something new. Write once, run anywhere. Java ran on a virtual machine, handled memory automatically, and was easy to deploy across platforms. It became the language of enterprise systems and Android development. In 2000, Microsoft responded with C#. It offered better tooling, tighter Windows integration, and quickly became the language of enterprise software and game development with Unity. While that was happening, something quieter was growing. Perl had once been the go-to scripting language, but its syntax was dense and hard to maintain. Python replaced it with clarity and readability. It became the default for automation, scripting, and back-end systems. Then it began replacing R in statistics. Python offered powerful libraries like NumPy, Pandas, and scikit-learn. It unified data science and machine learning. Python replaced MATLAB in engineering and scientific simulations. It even replaced VBA in business reporting. Python became the glue for everything, from notebooks to neural networks. On the web, Java applets and Flash powered early interactive apps, but they needed plugins. They were slow. They broke often. JavaScript was underestimated. But as browsers improved, JavaScript became the native language of the web. It powered Gmail, Google Docs, and modern front-end applications. JavaScript was dynamic but hard to scale. So in 2012, TypeScript added static typing and tooling. It helped teams manage large code bases and is now the standard in front-end development. In back-end and infrastructure, Go emerged in 2009. Created by Google, Go was simple, fast, and designed for concurrency. It powered Docker, Kubernetes, and many modern DevOps tools. But Go did not solve memory safety. Rust did. Released in 2010, Rust offered performance like C with safety built into the language. No garbage collector, no null pointer exceptions, no data races. Rust is now used in Firefox, Dropbox, Amazon Web Services, and Microsoft's cloud. Even parts of the Linux kernel are being rewritten in Rust. So what comes next? New problems require new tools. Mojo is a new language for AI development. It combines Python's syntax with C-level speed. It runs across CPUs, GPUs, and accelerators. Zig is a simpler, safer alternative to C. It removes undefined behavior and improves the developer experience. Julia is used in scientific computing. It is fast like C, but as easy to write as Python. It powers climate models, simulations, and research tools. Unison is trying to rethink version control. It treats functions as immutable data. This removes the need for dependency management. Gleam adds static typing to the Erlang virtual machine. It helps developers write safer distributed systems. Futhark compiles functional code into GPU kernels. It is designed for deterministic, high-performance computation. CARP combines Lisp-style syntax with Rust-style safety. It is used in audio and creative applications where low latency matters. Veil introduces a new memory model that could be safer and easier than Rust. It is designed for real-time systems like games and plugins. BQN is a modern array programming language. It simplifies dense mathematical computation, often used in finance and data science. Each of these languages is small, niche, focused, but so were JavaScript, Python, and Rust once. There is a pattern to every programming language takeover. The old language hits a wall. It becomes too slow, too unsafe, too messy, or too hard to scale. And a new language appears. It solves the right problem, at the right time, with the right experience. FORTRAN could not scale structure. C could not manage memory safely. JavaScript could not scale across teams. Python is not fast enough for modern AI. That is where the takeover begins. Every programming language is a time capsule. It reflects the needs of the developers who built it and the systems it was meant to control. Some languages fade. Some never get their moment. But the ones that solve the hardest problems win. The future of programming will not be decided by what's trending. It will be decided by what works. Because the next big language does not arrive with a press release. It arrives when developers need it most. And then, it takes over.